Go, Flat Tracker, go, go, go.
Club and Flat Track Pod brought to you by our partners. ShredDesign.co. If you're looking for the sickest jersey prints in the biz, look no further than ShredDesign.co on Facebook. Europa Fencing, the place to go for all your rural fencing needs. Classic wheel spokes, Otway Hydro Blasting, make your old girl look new again. Plus, our newest partner, MX Inc. Do you want your bike to stand out in the crowd with custom graphics done by the best? Then contact Luca and the team at MX Inc. And last but not least, Clava, keeping you on track for longer. Now, onto the episode.
All right, cool. So here we are for another episode of the Clover Flat Track Pod. And I was just talking to Dane off here, and I didn't want to get too much into a conversation with you, Dane, because the conversations we have had, we talk pretty well. And I thought, well, we end up, I'll forget to press the record button, we'll miss half of it, or that sort of thing. But how do I pronounce your surname?
Oh, yeah, I haven't worked that out either yet. It's taking me this long. Nah, it's Holmkvist, like the KV.
Holmkvist. Oh, right, Holmkvist. Yeah, I was saying Holmkvist. So yeah, I was a bit off. I'm glad that I let you take the lead on that one.
Yeah, I noticed that, but that was probably one of the better ones that I've heard, so I let it go.
When did you notice that? Did you listen to the last podcast that we did with How You Doing, Roger? That did you?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, I saw it. It popped up. I've got notifications on actually on Spotify for your pod, so it popped up and it said it had been out for about 9 minutes or something like that. I think it would have been one of the first ones to watch it.
It's actually amazes me, especially on the YouTube, and because I don't get instant stats off Spotify, but on YouTube I do, and normally, yeah, within 15 minutes it's had like 5 or 10 views, and I'm going, oh wow, that's crazy. So there must be a few subscribers with instant notification on or something now, which is fantastic. So,
yeah.
So, actually, let's start. Where are you?
Oh, so I'm in the Gidgee Inn in Cloncurry in northwest Queensland. It's about 800 kilometres from home.
Yeah, right. So I was going to say that's for work. You're a diesel fitter, run your own business. Is that right? Have I got that right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. I spend most weekdays here in Cloncurry or other places, but the majority of the time I'm here. Yeah.
Yeah, and you live in Ayr, is it? Just outside of Tamworth, or is it another town?
Oh, we actually live in Townsville, but Ayr's an hour south, and my wife's a race secretary there. She's had a lot to do with the club over the last couple of years, so we kind of call Ayr our home track, even though Townsville has one. That's just who we're most associated with.
Yeah, cool. Sorry, I see Tamworth. I don't know what I'm talking. It's been a long day.
And they do that. The New South Wales, the commentators do that at Bathurst. They were talking about George because he come out of the gates in his first heat and he was winning the race, and they were going on and on about Tamworth, and they realised, and they're like, oh, no, this kid's from Townsville. That's 20 hours away. And
yeah. I think they just sound too similar or something like that. So, so let's get into why you're on here, why you're on the pod. You guys are a mad flat track, dirt track family. Starting with yourself, is racing in your family? Did you race? Let's hear a bit about that.
Oh, okay. So, I actually can't ride a motorbike at all.
Right.
My wife used to race flat track on a four-wheeler. That was something that she did with her father, and as she was growing up as a teenager. So I guess flat track for George, that's probably where that started. It's mostly because of Steph. As a kid or growing up or even now, I had no interest in riding motorbikes and never learned how. So that's probably a bit of a weird one. You probably don't hear that very often.
No, not very often at all.
Yeah.
That's good. So to fill people in, the backstory how we met is I've actually met you before, but not really like through when you came down to Broadford and that sort of stuff. I'm pretty sure I actually spoke to George, and I probably bumped into you in that, but we didn't really meet until you showed some support about the podcast, and you've bought some Almanoy off me and some merchandise and said that you love what we're doing for the sport and that sort of stuff. And then you had a tracking issues, which I contacted you about. And that's when I really heard about what you guys do in racing and around racing. And it basically sounds like your life evolves around racing. And when you, I'm pretty sure I asked you the same question then if you race and that, and you said no. And yeah, it's quite amazing the dedication you have to George and to the racing and yeah, like you say, you work a long way from home. So tell us a little bit about that, how you guys go racing, the family dynamics, how that all works. Yeah, I'm pretty interested to hear. It's a pretty amazing story, I think,
Oh
anyway.
yeah, so anyone in North Queensland can relate to this, especially with flat track. We're 16 hours from Brisbane, so unless it's local racing, everywhere is really far away. But to add to that, I work away as well, so I kind of choose where I'm working at the moment because, like you just said, life does sort of revolve around racing, and I choose to work here so that I can work during the week and have weekends off. But at times, like I think it was 6 weeks before I was even spent more than a few hours at my house between work, going home, going to races. I'm rarely there when we're busy and we're traveling. It's pretty full.
Yeah. So what traveling are you doing? Like, so explain to me when it's in that full on period, what are you actually doing? Do you go home first and then pick George up, or I think there's a pretty cool backstory to this.
Yeah, so the most recent one, it was school holidays, and I think Curry was on. We had plans to go to Forbes to do a club day because they're having the Aussie. We had all these plans, but they sort of got changed because things got cancelled. But Steph and the kids ended up down in Brisbane staying with her sister. And instead of flying in and out of Townsville, I just flew in and out of Brisbane instead. So we spent a couple of weeks down in Brisbane. We did Gold Coast Club Day and sort of just did whatever we could in that time on the weekends. I think I told you this story last time, I'm not sure, but I was flying out of Cloncurry to Mount Isa to Brisbane, and I had to be there for Friday morning so we could drive to Curry because that's a day's drive from Brisbane as it is. And I'm sitting there waiting for the plane, and it landed, and we've got an announcement over the radio, over the speaker that says that the plane's hit a bird. So I thought, what am I going to do? And I started searching for flights, and I realized that I had to get to Mount Isa, and basically, if you've ever been to Cloncurry, you'd understand there's not much happening there. So I rang the taxi. There's one taxi in town. They charged me $400 and basically got me to Mount Isa sort of when the plane was boarding. So Qantas rang and said, hey, yeah, they rang and said, hey, you checked in? You checked in. Are you coming? And I said, yeah, I'm 5 minutes away. I'm in a taxi. And they asked the captain. He said that he'd hold the plane and wait. So I jumped out of this taxi while I was still moving and ran through the security and boarded this flight to get to Brisbane so we could go racing. But the flight attendants saw how rushed and stressed I was, and I think they thought there must have been some emergency. And I was too embarrassed to tell them that it was just so I could go to my kids' race on the weekend. But that's some of the things that I go through anyway, because I'm traveling, I'm away working, and then we're traveling to races. But the North Queensland it is hard. We do have to travel long distances. I definitely think we're a little bit disadvantaged from the rest, but we're the minority too, so we sort of majority and deal with.
So I know the first question that I asked in my head when I was hearing those stories about you traveling around so much to you're basically flying everywhere because that's the only way to do it. But what about putting your bikes there, or George's bikes there, as George is the racer that you're doing all this flying for? So where are his bikes? How do you manage that?
Oh, so well, most of the time we'll try and drive, and we'll do something in Brisbane, say, and then just leave the stuff there and fly. Then it's only half the journey to New South Wales then. But he does have two 65s and two 85s And sometimes we might two of them look 2 bikes in Brisbane and use the ones locally or things like that. Steph's sister lives there, so it's free. I've tried storage place, all sorts of things, but you try and keep the cost of all that down. But yeah, so flying is probably the easiest way. Sometimes I do all the driving, so I might just leave it in the evening and drive all night, 16-hour trip to Brisbane, and George will take the flight on his own, and the hosties look after him, and his auntie picks him up from the airport, or
Yeah, right.
yeah, it's all over the place. It just all depends on the weekend, I guess. But
Yeah.
that Bathurst trip we did, that was over 2,000 kilometers one way, and we ended up staying the night after the race, getting up early in the morning, and we drove. It took 24 hours to get home. We just drove the whole way, didn't stop, didn't
Right.
stay. Yeah,
Yeah.
long haul. Yeah.
Yeah, bloody oath it is. Yeah. So is that in the van you normally leave at your sister-in-law's, or what did you drive home in?
Yeah, that's the van. Yeah, we just got a Mercedes Sprinter. We used to tow a trailer,
Yeah.
but it was just hard to store, and it's also
Yeah.
more wheels on the ground. And the van was just, it was more economical, and we're lucky enough to sort of be in a position to be able to buy one. So
Yeah.
yeah, we did that, and the kids love it compared to sitting in the back of a dual car. Yeah, they got a lot of room, and yeah, they can relax and watch TV and do all those things.
Oh, so is it quite decked out, is it?
Oh, it's not. It's pretty basic, but we just put some nice seats in there for them, and a fridge and a TV. And both our kids, George got a younger sister, Audrey. They both play music, so we've actually got a keyboard in there, like a
Oh,
little
all right.
digital piano. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and they
And they
do that
play
to
that
kill
while you're
time.
driving along and that.
Yeah. We try and keep them off technology and PlayStation, Xbox, all those things, because it just sends them crazy. You got to find
Yeah.
other things to do.
Yeah, right. So I suppose a question I have is why? Was that part of the answer that you just gave us then, to keep them off technology, keep them busy? Why are you doing all this running around the country?
Oh, I knew you'd ask, and I was actually trying to think of the reason, but I don't know, because it's actually a hobby, and it doesn't make any sense. But George he's an overachiever. Everything that he does, he's good at. Like, some people just are like that, I guess, and yeah, he just loves it. We put 100% into it, everything that he wants to do. Um, any sport, but in particular, we've noticed with motorbike racing is it's so good for your kid. They learn so many things that they wouldn't learn if they weren't doing that. It's
Yeah.
kind of hard to explain, but I think you get it.
Yeah, I get it. I've seen it from coaching kids and that, and I think it's something to do with they realise that um people their age and it's not everyone gets to do that. I think that makes them feel a bit special and a bit more. They understand they're privileged to get the opportunity to do that sort of thing, and the ownership of any sort of piece of engineering, I think, or motor transport. I think it's. I'm not explaining it well either. It's sort of like when you go overseas for the first time, you come back slightly a bit different, because not everyone gets to have that experience, and it changes you. I think having that responsibility and ownership of a motorbike, and I think that's a big part of it, and kids. It sort of helps them. I don't know if helps them grow up a little bit quicker or something, or be little bit more responsible sooner, because they don't want to lose that responsibility. Does that make sense? I don't know if I'm doing a
Yeah,
good
it
job
does.
at that.
Yeah, that's right. Responsibility, ownership, focus is a huge thing, especially with.
Yeah,
I imagine every sport, but like I look at George, a 9-year-old kid, and he's on a line at the start gates with up to 12 kids, and the bikes are revving, and it's an adrenaline rush too, and the
yeah.
amount of focus that you need to do that, and then to actually win a race. For when I was a child, I don't think that I would have ever experienced anything like that. I think that really helped.
Yeah, and I think what you're getting at too there is that the learning about oneself, or being an individual, and what you can conquer on your own, as ball sports and um those team sports, it's all about the team. But even though he's got a great support team around him, when he's on the track, it's all about him and his abilities. And any rider, no matter what age, I think that gets hooked to the sport. That's a big part of it, I think, is pushing yourself. And once you do get, like a top three or something, then you want to be first. And, it keeps install self-belief in yourself. I think it does a lot of great things for kids. As I would love, actually, I was talking to someone and they were saying they would love to see like school programs for dirt track and flat track, because some country schools do have motocross programs, but there's no dirt track or flat track program. And it would be a fantastic thing. And yeah, probably would have to sit down and have a big brainstorm with a whole lot of parents and see what all the write down all the benefits they see in their children that come from dirt track and flat track. So what your main focus isn't, because we sort of have two disciplines. Well, we've got a few. We've got speedway as well, but is it there isn't one specific discipline, is it? It's just seat time on anything and anywhere, pretty much, isn't it?
Yeah, pretty much, because it's a bit hard to North Queensland. So we've got 3 clubs, with Sundays, Air and Townsville, that have dirt tracks, flat track. Then there's motocross in Townsville and with Sundays, and Charter's an hour away as well. But although there's all those clubs in that area, then they're not always open. And you just say you just wanted to do speedway or flat track or motocross, you wouldn't get the ride time. So you just do everything basically. Yeah, like
Yeah.
I think it's on the 1st of June, George will have his first real speedway meeting on a solo, because
Yeah, right.
this track in Darwin's opened up. Yeah, we just ride pretty much, but
Yeah.
flat tracks where I don't know, George's heart is. He's won the Aussies a couple of times, and
Yeah.
he's just good at it. So that's kind of his focus. But yeah, just riding motorbike.
And so our last episode of the Clover Flat Track Pod was with How You Doing, Roger That Racing, and I got onto them because of you, and you told me about your next adventure with George, which is coming up soon, and it just made me want to reach out to them, and they're a great couple. Are you looking forward to that? What is it, because it's George's passion, sort of like you're saying, his heart's in flat track? Is that what made you choose to go over to Am Nationals?
Yeah, well, that's another tricky one. So I guess sometimes I don't think things through, and I just decided that we were going to race in America.
Yeah.
Run it by George, and he seemed pretty keen. So I let Steph know kind of after I'd bought this motorbike from there. And then once the motorbike was bought, the reality set in, and we thought, oh, you know what, we're committed to this. So we started organising accommodation and transport and all of these things. But I guess how it came about, it was just we love flat track. So it was just a spur of the moment decision. And I'd like to say we could just afford it, but it's pretty expensive. If you do it in the sequence that we did, you realise later how much money it actually costs. So so Caitlin and Shane, so HDRT, I was a bit stuck and I didn't really want to reach out and ask people for help. I just thought, oh, we're doing this, it's our holiday, let's just figure it out. So I got my wife Steph to jump on Facebook and just start figuring out how and where and what we needed to do. And she came across this motorcycle club, Triangle Motorcycle Club. So I started following their page or in their group. There was this lady, Caitlin, and she just seemed to know everything. Someone would comment, she would answer the questions, and I just thought, oh, I'll just message her. So I messaged her and just said, hey, we're from Australia, we're coming over. Is there any chance we can ride there? That was basically it. And a day or so later, she responded, to my surprise. Yeah, it's turned into what this is now, which is, it's actually unbelievable what they're doing for us and kind of how that even came about. It was a random person. I could have messaged anyone in that comment section, but it just happened to be her. Yeah.
Well, as you would have seen from the podcast, yeah, they're just awesome people, I think, and yeah, they really love the sport. They're busting at the seams is the term I would use about you guys coming over. I think you're going to make their year actually. um, they're very
Yeah.
very excited. Um, yeah, just full of energy. Caitlin especially, Shane also, but I can tell Caitlin is the energy source for the duo. She's just full of energy and motivation and love for the sport. And I was actually had a look today at some of their posts that they were doing and doing giveaways at the races and yeah, I think you're gonna have a fantastic time and you tapped into the right person there. You messaged the right person and I think your bike actually turned up at their house the other day. I saw moto shippers. They did a post about moto shippers dropping off some bikes. It's a 65, isn't it?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So, well, I bought the bike from Solid Performance in Pennsylvania, which is on the eastern side of America. Logistically, it doesn't make sense. Why would you do that? You're flying all the way over the country, but that was just this spur of the moment decision thing that happened. But I, the reason that I rang there is I rang around a couple of places, but I actually heard it on one of your podcasts. I think you're talking to maybe Matt Drain or it
Oh,
was
okay.
somebody, and they mentioned Solid Performance. So that that was on my radar when I was shopping. So I bought this bike from there, and then when I actually realized where the American amateurs are, like the race, I I just thought, how am I going to work this out? So we're flying into near the bike and got a motorhome and picked the bike up and drive over there and all of these things. And once I started getting to Caitlin and she asked me what our plans were, she basically just offered to help with everything. And I couldn't say no. It was just too good to be true. She awesome people. So
Yeah.
they're one of their partners is moto shippers. So I thought, oh, well, that relieves a bit of stress. I can get the bike from Solid Performance and get it to Caitlin, and it's just ready when we get there. So that worked out really well, and that's one of the businesses that supports HDRT like that. So I guess by me doing that and paying for this transport, I'm sort of supporting the supporters of her and Shane. Like it's yeah, I kind of feel like I'm giving back in a little way by using their group, if that
Yeah,
makes
yeah,
sense.
they're partners and that's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so the bike is at their place. I think they've helped sort out tires and sticker kits and all that sort of stuff. Has he actually ridden 17s over here yet? Because I don't think he did the AFTN last year, did he?
No, he was too young because he's only just turned 9,
Yeah.
sort of mid last year. Um, and he jumped off the 50 and got on an 85 pretty much the next week and started racing it. Um, he had his first go on a racetrack on the 17s last weekend in Ayr, their club day.
Okay.
Um, and the 65 also with the American style of tires on. It was
Yeah.
it was good. It was a learning curve.
Yeah.
I feel like the track's not really suited to those tires, so it was a bit of a struggle. And water definitely was a big problem, but he did well and he rode it well. It's just a lot slower
Yeah.
to normal. I
Yeah.
think it'll be hard.
Well, that's
Like
all
it's
right. That's
it's
what he needs to do. Yeah, yeah, that's what he needs to do. He needs to throw himself out of the comfort zone and just keep riding on them. And yeah, you're right. The tracks are going to be pretty different over there, and for that style of tire and stuff. As we've said, you would have heard us say millions of times on the pod. They do work on deeper tracks, and that obviously, if they're watered heavy, that's when it can go pear shaped a bit. But no, he's pretty brave just jumping on there, and because I imagine he's probably one of the only ones up at here on 17.
yeah. Well, I'd say most of the people were wondering what that even was. Like, why would he be doing that? And the other thing that sort of added
Yeah.
to the pressure and all that was he's actually undefeated since he started racing the 85, and his first win. Um, since he won that first club day on this 85, then he won these two open meetings, and he was undefeated basically from last year until last weekend. So he kind of sacrificed a win to better himself for America and the AFTN and those things. So it was a pretty hard day for him because I feel like in the back of his mind, he sort of was pretty confident that he was going to win the club day. So, yeah, it was a tough night, but he did well.
And look, I've seen fast guys hop on the 19s, and they just come off looking totally puzzled. And you they go, "How do you ride these things?" And you would have heard this on the pod lots of times too. I hopped off 21-18 and hopped on 19s, and I didn't feel any different. I thought it was fine, but my speed has dropped a bit. But yeah, it's interesting how everyone deals with it differently, and I'm sure he'll bounce back. Like you said, he's a bit of an overachiever. He won't let it rest there. I'm pretty sure by the sounds of it, and
Yeah,
he's going to get
that's it. Yeah.
he's going to get all that racing in America too, which is it over 5 tracks or 4 tracks, and there's one spare, isn't there? The indoor or something.
I had a quick look at the schedule, but I think there's a long track, like a half mile or something. There's a
Yeah.
TT and the indoor, like the short track, but I think that's it. There's only 3
Oh, okay.
tracks. I
Oh,
could be
righto.
wrong though, but it is
Yeah.
over a 5-day period. I think we
Oh,
might get a
okay.
day
That
off
might,
between.
yeah, yeah, that might be where I had it. Yeah, I don't. You guys listen to Tank Slapping podcasts as well, don't you?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, you would have heard Corey and that talking about it on there. And the same with the HD. Oh, I've forgotten the acronym. HD. What is it? Hey,
HT,
no. How you doing, Roger? That racing? Oh, I can't think at the moment.
yeah, HDRT. Yeah,
Yeah, HDRT. Yeah, they were saying too. That a lot of the local guys aren't going because of the being spread out over that time and that sort of thing. So it's a bit of a shame in some ways, but I think it's still an awesome experience for someone of his age or any Australian going over there to race, no matter what age. But yeah, the logistics. Even though now you've got Kate on board, have you got your head around the logistics now? Or
yeah. I think so. There's still a few things that aren't organised, and the other thing that made the trip even more exciting. So it was just George and I at first, and we thought, let's just go over there, have a ride, come home. Not a big deal. But my mum wanted to come, so
oh,
she's
okay,
jumped on. Yeah, so she's coming
oh,
now
awesome.
too, which she's pretty fun. So that would be good, but it just changes the dynamic of the trip a little.
Yeah,
And
okay.
then yeah, and Steph was maybe feeling like she was missing out, so we're still working on that. Maybe her and Audrey might come as well, and it's just going to turn into
Good family
a big
trip.
holiday, I think. Yeah, we'll see how
It's
we
funny,
go.
isn't it? It's funny because Catherine, my wife, yeah, to be fair, she has a little sulk when I go away on trips and stuff. And I said, "You're always welcome to come. You can come." But a lot of the time she has to stay home to run Willow around for footy and that sort of stuff. So,
Yeah,
but I don't know. It is funny. I can see if I said to her, "Oh, I'm going to go over to America," even though she doesn't want to go to America, I know she'll be going, "Oh well, I wouldn't mind a trip over there too."
yeah. Well, I'm hoping that I know that heaps of people, or a few people have been going over there and doing doing these races like the Dane. I got talking to Riley Nowder's dad at Gold Coast. He's another young racer, and he's been there, and he actually sold us a helmet. He
Yeah,
told us
cool.
a bit of info, that we didn't know, so that was
Yeah,
really
awesome.
helpful. But I think now with Caitlin and Shane and yourself too promoting flat track and the possibly maybe George is like a bit of a link now. Maybe it's opened up something else, so it might make it easier for other people, or that Americans might want to come and see what Australia's all about too. Yeah, I
I
think I
hope
think it's a
so.
really good.
Yeah, yeah, it is. It is a good thing that, well, as you know, my position is I'd rather those Aussies staying here than uprooting to go over there. But for a holiday, no worries. But for a
Yeah,
career, I wish that we could have it here, and I hope that we can provide that for all the kids and that are upcoming by the time they get to senior levels that they have prize money championship they can race for over here instead of having to,
Yeah,
leave families. Max living on his own over there. Um, yeah, Tom living on his own. So I guess it's a great experience, but yeah, it'd be good if they can do it on their own doorstep. But yeah, like you say, building those bridges, I think we're definitely doing it. We're seeing more and more. It's quite a few people. Like I didn't know the McCoulters went over there. I didn't know that until the last podcast actually. And so Rory McCoulter and his old man, they went and did AMNATs last year. I think it was the year before Daniel Wicks went up and cleaned up there. I noticed someone else. Griffo was asking for a bike, Jason Griffo, to go and race over there. So we've got a mixed bag of riders wanting to go over and going over. So yeah, hopefully it starts being reciprocated and we have some Americans come. Now we've got the AFTN, and yeah, it just keeps growing that bridge. And I keep thinking about getting a couple of bikes and storing them here and having them set up for people as well, so that they can come over and yeah, don't have to buy a motorcycle, because I imagine that's blowing your cost out a little bit, especially with the Aussie dollar against the US dollar and all that sort of thing.
yeah, definitely. And it's only a little motorbike too. I couldn't imagine doing that with the. But in hindsight, for a junior, for a parents that wanted to take their 9, 10-year-old kid on a 65 or even 85, I just feel like you're better off just packing your bike up in a bag and taking it on the plane. That
Yeah, right.
definitely easier. Yeah.
So the finance, I did ask you off here about finances and stuff, if it's all right to talk about it. And can we get a rough ballpark of what this trip is going to cost you? Like, let's just put it back to the two of you without mums and sisters and everything coming. What sort of budget does someone need to make a trip like this? Obviously, there's a few variables there with airfares and that sort of thing, but yeah, just a rough ballpark.
Yeah, well, it's hard to say. I haven't finished organising. It's going to be some more. Remember, without living costs, like what we're going to spend while we're there on food and those things, we've got a motorhome. So we've got transport and accommodation for the whole time.
Yeah,
We're going to be there for over 20 days. So
yeah.
that also is giving you a rough idea of the period that we're there. But I think with this bike, the motorhome and the flights, I don't think it would get much change over about $30,000. Yeah, I don't know if that's what you were thinking it was going to be, and I don't know if you could do it cheaper or dearer, or I'm not sure, but that's probably about what it's going to come to.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I was thinking you'd be up around there somewhere. It's a little bit more than I thought, but I was thinking around the 20 and then maybe another 10 while you're over there. But, that would be living very slim, like that's only 5 Aussie sort of thing, or a little bit, which way, yeah, a little bit more, isn't it? It's not quite that, not quite double, but yeah, it doesn't stretch far, does it?
No, not at all. And the other annoying thing for Steph too is we've had a bathroom renovation going on for 2 years, and that's been put on hold as well. So we're still all sharing the ensuite.
At least
Fixing
it's got
the
your
flashback
priorities
too,
right.
yeah, yeah, exactly.
What's that old saying? Treat 'em mean, keep 'em keen.
Yeah, I don't think she would agree.
No, no, my wife wouldn't either. There's half jobs done everywhere, but I think if she's too happy, she'd probably leave me.
The
Oh, well, that's yeah, it sounds like it's going to be a great trip, and thanks for putting me onto those guys, because yeah, they're an awesome connection. Like you said, I think you have started a bit of a bridge, and yeah, you'll be in company with some other Aussies over there as well. I believe Jed Five's going over again, and I'm sure you'll bump into the Drains and who else? Oh, there's a few others. I just can't think of their name right off the top of my head. I'm having a bit of a brain freeze night tonight. Actually, struggling a little bit, but
yeah, well, I think they're pretty regular too. There's the pages from the Gold Coast. I don't know.
yes, yeah,
Yeah, I'd assume they'll be there. Yeah, I'm sure we'll run into them. I think we're going to be in pretty good company with Caitlin and Shane. I think they're going to look after us pretty well. It's going to be really, really fun. It's taken a lot of stress off organising and just all those little things because we don't travel the world very often, so that's probably another thing too that adds to that is we're just flying somewhere and just hoping for the best. Yeah,
It's
they'll
usually,
definitely.
they're the best sort of trips, I think, when you're just giving it a crack.
Yeah, yeah.
Not sure what's going to happen, giving it a crack. And I mean, George is such a lucky kid. Does he realise that he's going to be called Georgie Boy for the rest of his life now?
Oh yeah, I'd say so. Yeah, yeah. He picked that name up. I don't know. Yeah, a while ago, and most people don't even know my name or our surname, or it's just Georgie Boy. Yeah, we
Oh
walk
yeah.
around the pits in New South Wales. People seem to know who he is, and yeah, we don't even sort of know who they are. But yeah, so that's pretty cool. I think that name stuck.
All right. So he actually got that at home. I thought that might have been an American thing from Caitlin.
Oh no, you got it from home. Yeah, that's what they know him as.
Yeah.
But
Okay.
the it sounds an American. Their accents are pretty cool when they say Georgie Boy. Yeah, he had a little bit of a laugh when he heard that.
Did he?
Yeah.
And so his surprise, not so surprise birthday party then's ruined. He must have listened to the podcast too, did he?
Yeah, so I actually we were listening and I think Caitlin said spoiler alert and I
Yeah,
turned it
yeah.
off. Yeah, so
Oh,
he doesn't know. No, he
oh, he
still
doesn't
doesn't
know.
know.
Oh,
No,
fantastic. Yeah.
and it's left him wondering now what's going on. Because basically we said, oh, there's no birthday party. We're going to America. Like,
Yeah.
don't get too excited. Another day. So yeah, he'll be stoked. So I
Yeah.
didn't expect that at all. We're talking about Caitlin helping with his logistics and all these things, and now she's throwing him a birthday party and taking him to the theme park, and yeah, that's awesome.
Man, you have to take some videos and show us or post them or something. Yeah, it would be good of his party and that.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, we will.
So, did you say you're going to go and ride at the Triangle Motorcycle Club?
Yeah. So there's an Ohio State Championship. I don't quite follow it, but I think they do a state championship and they do rounds between all the clubs.
Yeah, okay.
And there just happens to be one of the rounds is at Triangle the week. So we'll get
Yeah,
to go
cool.
and try the bike out and do all those things. I think it's a bit of an open track. Like you must pay so you can use it, and you can use it sort of. I know
Yeah, well,
like
that's what they were saying. If you remember, you basically like our motocross tracks over here used to be with a key for the facility, and you can go and use it. I think they book in. You have to book in, and you can go and use it, which is cool because. And I imagine a lot of our listeners would be thropping at the mouth because it's a half mile, so it's basically a Bathurst. And yeah, I've seen some video of it. It looks pretty good. Yeah. I think
yeah,
be a great place for him to try the bike out and see how he's feeling.
yeah. We'll make sure it works. There's no expectations really anyway. It's going
Yeah.
there to have fun. I mean, obviously, once we get there and the helmet's on, it's always a desire to win. Like that's just built into a motorbike.
And so what's the bike? What bike did you get for him?
So it's a Husqvarna. Yeah,
Oh, okay.
it's
Yeah.
yeah. And
Yeah, I don't know why, but I thought you went KTM.
we ride KTM's here, but when I rang
Oh,
up
okay.
Solid Performance, it was last year. That's all they had. They had one Husqvarna 65 and a Gas 65, and that's all the stock that they had. So
All
I
right.
just took one. I think if I
Yeah.
tried to buy one now, they'd probably have more stock. But
Yeah.
yeah, at the time, I was just hell bent on getting a bike. That was in December, so I just
Yeah.
rang
Okay.
up, did the deal. Yeah,
You were saying to me, you were saying to me on the phone call that you like to just make you seem to just make split decisions and give it a
yeah,
crack. Well, I think we're a bit similar actually. I do stuff like that, and then I it takes me about a week to build up the courage to tell Catherine.
yeah.
Oh
That's
yeah,
exactly right. That's
by
exactly.
by the way, we're going to New Zealand. What? Yeah, racing in New Zealand.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
America's
Nah, it's
pretty
all
extreme, bit further.
it all works out in the end. It's kind of
Yeah,
exciting.
yeah. Well, so is it something that you think you might repeat? I mean, you haven't done it yet, so it's probably a silly question, but do you think it's something that you consider doing more? Like if it goes really well and he has a great time there and he's happy with his results, do you think you'd look at doing it again, or you might try somewhere else like the Netherlands or the UK because they all have series as well?
Yeah, well, it is a thought that we had because I thought, so we bought this bike. Well, what are we going to do with it when we're done? And we've got a few options, but I guess if we hung on to it, we stored it somewhere or left it somewhere or sold it, you could go and buy another one again. But it does all depend on how it goes and if we really enjoy it. He's a kid too, and it's a hobby, so
Yeah.
he might turn around and say he doesn't want to ride motorbikes anymore. You just never know. So I'm not sure, but I did get Googling and I have messaged these people in the UK somewhere. I can't remember where now, but basically trying to figure out how to ride there. And it seems pretty easy. They got back to me with their classes and all of those sort of things. So that could be on the cards too. Just have
Awesome.
to,
It's actually interesting. There's so many similarities with dirt track and flat track around the world as far as the vibe, everyone being helpful and all that sort of thing. But the fee structure is one difference that I've noticed. Like with New Zealand, I had my fees covered for me, but when they went up and paid for them, it was so cheap, like compared to here. It was just like I can't believe
yeah,
that you just paid that that little amount of money. I think America is obviously a different story because I think what's one class about $100 or something, wasn't it?
yeah. I haven't nominated yet, but I did look to go through the process. I think it is around $100. If you do it now, early, like before the end of
Yeah.
this month, I think it's about $80 a class.
Okay.
Um,
Yeah.
he's got a license. So I'm to be honest, I don't know. I'm not even sure if I need it, but I got him a license and it was maybe $30.
All right. Yeah.
So I think it would all
So
kind of
that's
work
quite
out
a difference, isn't
similar.
it? Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, the
That's quite.
license is definitely cheaper there, but the classes is dearer. And when you convert it to Aussie dollars, I feel like you'd probably end up paying the same amount to race,
Yeah.
say, yeah, a few races here. We're racing for 3, 4, 5 days.
Yeah.
I think the cost will probably be about the same.
Yeah. Oh, that's
Yeah.
awesome information, and that to know about like the monetary amount and that because I know people would consider going over there and look, maybe we've put a few people off, but you are doing it a slightly different way. I mean, yeah, you can reach out and ask other people that, and maybe people could reach out and ask you now too, and how you doing, Roger, that racing too. Ask those guys, and I'm sure you're going to come back with good knowledge on how to save a few dollars as well. Because once you meet some of the other guys too that have been doing it for a while, and you get chatting, I'm sure they're all happy to help you out. And instead of so, are you putting the bike in the motorhome, or how are you getting the bike around?
Yeah, well, that's another thing that's not quite worked out. But so hiring the motorhome, that was sort of getting difficult as well. I tried to contact some places personally and wasn't getting any responses. So we ended up using a friend of ours who's a travel agent and just said we want this. So he sorted that out. But it's not a motorbike hauler in any way. It's just a 30-foot motorhome with beds and a kitchen and like all this room in it. So I think we're just going to just jam the bike in whichever hole it fits. Maybe take the handlebars off or something. I don't know yet, but I'm sure we'll figure that out. It's only a little motorbike,
Yeah,
but
yeah. Well,
yeah,
that's a good,
definitely.
the good,
Oh,
that's a
definitely.
good thing about it being small, isn't it?
Yeah, that's right. But I think yeah, once we're done, we'll know what to do next time. I'd love to help anybody who wants to know. Yeah, I'll happily tell them how to do it, or I don't know, like HCRTs there, they take donations from people or whatever, that might just be something that ends up happening there for other people too.
Yeah, Yeah, no, that'd be good. And if you haven't checked out that site, they've got a website and they've got Facebook and Instagram pages. So yeah, if you're listening to this podcast and you don't know what we're talking about, it's also the podcast before this. Actually, there will be an Australian titles recap and then this one. So yeah, a couple podcasts ago, look through and check them out, and they are awesome people what they're doing, and I can just see that growing more, and the programs and support that they're offering people will just grow. I think if they can keep up with it all and don't lose the love for it. Which yeah, I don't think they're going to. But yeah, they got you a sticker kit sorted out as well, didn't they? Is that from their shop, or do you know anything
Arno
about that?
Design.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so Caitlin just offered. She just, I hadn't even thought about it. And, oh, actually, no, I might have asked her because, in Australia, how we've got coloured backgrounds and numbers and all these regulations around number plates. So I think it's one of the questions I asked is, what do I need? And she just said, oh, I could sort it out for you to save you having to bring one over. And that's another partner of theirs, Nine
Yeah,
Design.
righto.
So she just got onto them, asked me what to put on it, sent back a proof, and yeah, too easy. I haven't paid her for that. I feel like maybe they've shouted us that sticker kit, so that's pretty cool.
Yeah,
We'll
nice.
find out when I get there. Yeah.
You might have to make a bit of a donation to how you're doing Roger that racing or something. Or yeah, I'm sure. Look, I'm sure they'd appreciate all the shout outs we're giving them, and just like I said, they're busting at the seams that they're excited about you coming over. I'm sure it will pan out.
Yeah, we'll definitely support them in any way we can, whether we buy their merch or anything really. The help that she's given us is you can't even put a value on that. It's yeah, I don't even really know if I would have made it all happen without them. Like I think we would have just got to this point where we were stuck and probably flew over there and just winged it.
Well, that's a pretty Aussie thing and a bit of a Kiwi thing to do, I reckon.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
and and it can make it pretty exciting. I mean, um, there's is it DNS Diesel? Is that your business?
It is, yeah, yeah.
I'm sure when you started that, you didn't have all the answers.
Oh no, definitely not. No, still don't.
So people listening might think, "Oh, this guy's nuts," but you've done it all before, just in a different context.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
You probably rocked up to a site with your toolbox, not knowing what to expect, and got stuck in. Did you?
yeah. That's daily rocking up, not knowing what to expect. Yeah, it'll be the same, just in another country,
Yeah,
not
yeah,
getting
and
paid.
focus. Sorry, what was that?
Oh, and not getting paid. We're
Oh,
paying.
yeah. Yeah, I think I've got a tiny bit of lag on my end. Sorry, with crossing over, but I thought I'd got this sorted out, but it seems a little bit dodgy tonight. It's just that's what happens when you're up in the top of a tin shed.
Oh yeah, because where are you? You're in middle of Victoria, country
So
Victoria,
we're
or
no, we're in Western Victoria, so by Ballarat, but I've got a big garage, a big 20 by 20 tin shed basically, and I'm in the mezzanine floor, so I'm sort of up near the roof. And I think it plays up with the internet sometimes because I've only got like a wireless modem because we're in a black spot, and yeah, the normal internet doesn't work properly, but mobile phones do. And so I've got a SIM card and a modem basically. And it's good
oh,
most of the time, but every now and then it plays up a bit. Like
yeah.
the Grant Charnock podcast. That was probably the worst it's ever been.
Oh, I haven't watched that yet. That's the one that I've been meaning to watch. Because I've just been all over the place. Work hasn't just been a route.
Yeah.
But I normally what I do because I've got about an hour and 20 flight, so I download your podcast on Spotify and then I speed it up. So I listen to it at about 1.5, and you're talking real
All
fast, but I
right.
get it all in by the time I land.
I would never have thought to do that.
Yeah. Otherwise,
I
I
sound
won't
like
get it all.
So I probably sound really stoned now or something, really slow to you.
Yeah, it's really slow. It's slower than normal. Yeah, I actually speed up the Tank Slapping podcast too. But just
Yeah, okay.
you try it if you listen on Spotify. Just speed up to 1.2, and
Yeah,
it
righto.
sounds.
Yeah, how do you actually do that? Do you go into the settings or something, do you?
Uh, oh, I don't know. No, it's just down the bottom of the screen in Spotify.
Oh,
There's a
okay.
little bar. I don't know.
Yeah, I'll have to have a look. I actually haven't. I've never. Well, like I said, I've never thought to do that, so I haven't searched for
Yeah,
that option. Yeah, yeah, because I listen to quite a few podcasts. I do a bit of raw fencing a couple times a week, and I was out today actually doing it and listening to podcasts all day. So it could be quite handy. I get through them a bit more.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, you learn a lot. Like I said, the things that when I was first planning this trip to America, I got little snippets out of the podcast that you did.
Yeah, cool.
It's kind of, I guess that's the purpose of it too. Help
Yeah,
people.
yeah. Well, I think yeah, I think the last one there's quite a bit. So we've never really got a lot about. So we've spoken to Corey and we've spoken to Eric and Tom. And Tom was a little bit green. Then I'd like to have him back on again now because obviously he's had a lot more time over there and we can all see he's really growing. You know, with his podium speeches and he's sort of come out of his shell quite a bit there. So I'd like to have him on again if he's willing. But yeah, it's always focused around the pro side of racing over there. And I think that's what American Australians sort of think of America as just the pro scene. But the amateur scene, that's why I really love doing that last one with Caitlin and Shane because we've got quite a bit of info out of them about the amateur side and what it. I sort of feel like we've got quite a good feeling out of them what it was is like, and it seems very similar to here. Maybe a little bit different, but I think yeah, I think going to a local race over there would be a similar feel to going to a local meeting here or club day here. So I think that was quite good. And a few, they have obviously different classes. They have Mad Dog and that, but my club down here, the Harley Club of Victoria, we've got a bucket class now, which is 200 up to 200 cc air cooled. So I think that's pretty similar, but on the 2118 or whatever they came out with 1917, depend on what the bike is the person's on. You
Yeah,
CRFs and CT 125s, I think, getting around and that sort of stuff. But yeah, I
yeah,
think yeah, I was really, really happy with that last pod because I think it gave our listeners another view of the American racing, and I do hope that these podcasts do give people like living in other countries an idea of what racing in Australia is like and yeah, whoever we talk to or wherever we talk to, we hope it inspires people to go and have a race over there if they can pull it off, or even if it's a North Islander in New Zealand and listening to like Wayne Drake down in the South Island. And actually, I don't know if you follow any of the excuse me Kiwi stuff, but yeah, there's a lot of inter-island racing going on. It's fantastic. Seems to be growing quite well over there. And before we know it, we'll have some of them over here. I'm sure we just got to make that happen. Which it's not because they're not keen to do it. It's just the logistic side of things. I think it's about. So I priced it actually to take bike over for the Burt Munro and then the Canterbury championships the weekend after. And it was going to cost me about $2,000 for the bike. That was returned though, so it's actually not bad. But I think I costed it out. It worked out about $140 a meeting or something, a race meeting. To actually, class because the Burt Munro I could have gone in about 5 classes. So, but yeah, you gotta have the motivation and the funds and everything all fall in line at the right time to make it all happen.
yeah,
It sounds like
exactly. Yeah, the Burt Munro. There's a local guy from Townsville, Damien Copy, who he went this year. I'm pretty certain.
did he?
But yeah, you should get talking to him. It was a couple of years ago. He went and he won a lot of the races
He
there. He
he
did
um
really
he
well.
ran the beach race, didn't he? Did he win the beach race? think my dad told me that he was watching him. He does a bit of dirt track and that as well, doesn't he?
Yeah, he does. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
He was yeah, you'd see him around. I don't know if he's been racing as much as he used to, but you would have been like,
Yeah, because I think he was dirt tracking the so the beach race is like a barrel race. But yeah, from what I heard, he was dirt tracking the corners and just putting on a bit of an expedition and impressed a lot of people, I think. But I don't know.
oh yeah,
I don't know if
yeah,
he went last year. And unfortunately, the Speedway Spectacular, which was holding in the flat track class, they copped a whole lot of rain, so it really screwed it up. And then they still held it, but it was the next day, and most of the crowd had gone because they had to go back for work and all that sort of stuff. So it was a bit of a shame, but there's always next year. The great thing is that they're actually hosting a flat track class now, and I hope they'll do it again. And yeah, maybe we'll get over next year.
yeah.
I'm not I'm not too sure. We've got to get this AFTN done here and yeah, go from there. I'm sort of planning a bit of stuff for Victoria. Well, not sort of. I am planning stuff for Victoria, but that will be a big trip for you guys.
Oh yeah, yeah. That Broadford when we went for the Victorian titles a couple of years ago. That's a long, big drive
Yeah,
for us.
yeah, it'd be massive. Yeah,
Yeah, I think
you'd be getting
it might even
into the
it
you'd be
might even
getting
be about
into the
3,000 kilometers one way,
yeah,
which
right. Yeah, I was going to say 30 hours or so. Yeah, that's
yeah,
massive.
we'll do
But
it
he
again.
came down and he won a Vic title that year, didn't he?
Yeah, he won both the 50 and the 65.
Yeah.
Yeah, the numbers were a bit low, but there was good competition there. I expected to see a
No,
lot more people. I figured that Victoria's population and those things, but I'm not sure what this year was like.
it's a bit funny down here. I'm not sure if the weather plays a part in it or what it is. Dirt track's not as big as I think it could be or should be, or yeah, whichever way you want to look at it. Yeah, it can, but also I've spoken to people and they say, oh, it fluctuates every 10 years. You have a big boost of new incomers, and then over the next 10 years, it sort of goes up and down, and then you have another influx. And I've been in the sport over 13 years now, and I sort of have seen that happen, and gets a good rise and then it goes down again. I couldn't tell you why. I have no idea. At the moment, I think, the cost of living, all that sort of stuff on the news, and it is slowing people down from doing the sport and buying new stuff. I mean, you look on marketplace on Facebook and that sort of thing, things just aren't selling like they used to. And that COVID tax is definitely gone. It's a good time to buy a bike if you want to buy a reasonably late model. You can get an 016. I know that's not new; it's pretty old now. A lot of people call that old, but you can get them for like 3.5 grand. 4 grand
Yeah,
sometimes, even cheaper. Fully decked out race ones store around the 6 grand, which is pretty good, really. When you think of, or we know how much they spend on them, vortex ignition and underslungs and all that sort of stuff. Yeah,
well,
even
that's another thing.
yeah,
Oh,
Kara,
that's
yeah,
another thing about the racing in America is there's a production class and a modified class. I think
yeah,
that
okay, yeah,
that would really help with budgets too, because you don't have to spend. If you got a motorbike, it's stock.
yeah.
I wouldn't mind seeing that happen in Australia. It'd keep the cost down because you're not trying to compete and have a faster bike, all of those sorts of things. Because sometimes the wallet win in some ways. Yeah, I think maybe
Look,
that would
I do too.
be
There's a
okay.
lot of people against that. I don't know if it's I can't put my finger on it. It sort of happens in the workplace a lot too. You bring a suggestion up and people just like to shoot it down straight away without even
Yeah,
giving it a go. It's yeah, I see it happen a lot. We've heard the suggestion a lot, and it gets shot down pretty much straight away. But if you put it to a vote, it seems to be a lot of people against it, and I don't. The biggest excuse is, oh, how will we monitor it? Well, I don't know. How do you monitor it anyway? Like at a race meeting, people can protest it, I guess. If they think that the bike's not stock, they can protest it, and then has to get scrutineered and teared down or whatever. I don't know. It's a tricky one. I agree with you. I think on the budget side of thing, it's a good move. But the other thing too is would having a pro class and an amateur class sort of do that, and maybe in the amateur class you make that like a stock class, and then the pro class, and yeah, they can teams and that can form and go gangbusters, or privateers. They can, if they want to sink that much money into a bike, they can, sort of thing. Yeah, I'm not sure.
Oh,
Yeah, I don't think there's an easy answer there. I think someone can probably suggest it for the rule books, and if they put it across, then awesome. But
yeah.
yeah, I don't know because I'm not on the commission or anything like that. I don't know if it's ever been suggested or trialed or anything like that.
Yeah,
But
there's probably not
yeah,
enough numbers anyway. It's not broken. I don't think so. Don't fix it. But there's probably
well,
not enough
yeah,
numbers to warrant.
well, that's a good point. Like because I've heard so oh yeah, I told you I'm having a brain fuzz night tonight. I was trying to think. He's an enduro and started the enduro product line. I can't his brand. I can't think it's bloody name. But he used to do dirt track when he was younger, and he said on, I think it was on a Gypsy Tale podcast or Dirt Bike Burrito, one of those ones, and he he said he didn't stick with dirt track because it was such a how much can you spend on your engine sort of game, and they didn't have the budget. So I think, and I've heard that a lot of times, so I think it could attract more people with production class.
Yeah,
Um, Yeah, it's probably just a matter of laying down some rules and giving it a go, and then if people choose to protest, they protest. But um, production bikes now, from what I gather, my bike's a bit older, but they come out pretty fast anyway. So
yeah,
yeah, why would you? Everyone that I've been talking to, some of the guys that have been on the pod that are up there in the in the top five in Australia, they said, just whack a vortex on it and maybe an aftermarket pipe, and that's all you need. So maybe, with the quality of the bikes, the modern bikes, it's going to phase out anyway. Um,
yeah,
yeah,
mate.
yeah, I'm not sure. But so we didn't get to, obviously, you're away for working, so we haven't got to see George. We'll have to get him on the next one. Does he know you're doing the podcast?
I did mention it to him, but I, I don't know actually. He probably's forgotten or he doesn't remember what that is. Like we watch sometimes when he's with me, we watch if I'm looking at a podcast or something like that. But he's not too phased about much at all, really. Yeah. So I don't know.
Does
I
he
don't
play?
think he's excited or yeah.
Does he play other sports or anything, or it's all track?
Yeah, it's all motorbikes. We don't have time. We tried, but
Yeah.
he's on an academic scholarship at school. So
Oh, okay.
we've got to, yeah, he's in grade 5, but he's got to maintain good grades at school. And he plays
Yeah.
the piano, a guitar, a viola. Like he's a busy kid. He's
Yeah.
got a
Right.
bit on. Yeah, so
So
we
you've
don't.
got you've got a busy wife as well, then.
Yeah, well, my business got busy, so she organizes all of that. So she doesn't actually work elsewhere anymore. She just does that and the kids
Yeah.
and
Okay.
yeah, that's flat out. And any spare time she has, she actually is just doing our motorcycle club things. She's a race secretary there, and she helps out James Davies, who your friend of yours, the president.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
Far
very
out.
time.
Yeah, I bet. Yeah. Well, she's sounds like an amazing lady to have on your team. You sound pretty lucky if you ask me.
Oh yeah, no, I
Yeah.
wouldn't be doing that. Yeah, that's for sure. Yeah,
It's
the
how
time she puts into it.
yeah, how hard is that for you guys? Sort of sounds like you're living apart quite a bit from your family. So is that the motorcycle racing sounds like it brings you back together? Would that be a fair statement? Does Steph ever say, "Oh, I've had enough, let's do other things," or anything like that
Oh
happen?
yeah, I guess. Yeah, I've never really thought about it since I've always worked away. And I'm only gone for 4 nights. I know I'm saying only because to most we're gone for 4 nights, but yeah, we spend every waking minute together on the weekends, especially doing a 20-hour drive or in the car. Or yeah, it works out fine. It's pretty good. We've got a routine, and anyone who does FIFO or any of those sorts got a routine and it make it work. Wouldn't be racing. I wouldn't be going to America if I didn't work here. That's for sure. Wouldn't be able to afford it.
Yeah. Yeah, I imagine the pay's fairly healthy. So, but I mean, if you don't look after that and manage those funds, it doesn't make the world a difference, really, does it? You have to be on it and make sure that you use it wisely because it goes bloody quick. I used to earn pretty good coin, and my air pistol up against the wall basically, and didn't really manage it very well, and still had a bit of credit card debt. And then when I left there with that sort of full time work, and I earn like three times less, and I actually manage my money heaps better, and I can do a lot more than when I was earning well. It's bizarre. So
Oh yeah, yeah,
it's bizarre how it works. Well, thanks so much for coming on, mate, and taking time out of your night and yeah, filling us in about your story and how your family works. I think it's pretty mind blowing that you fly everywhere, well, basically fly into Brisbane and then drive to all the tracks around New South Wales. And so you obviously race at McDoohan's a bit as well, do you?
yeah. We do. Yeah, we haven't been there for a little while, but that was frequent track.
Yeah. Your sister in law's
Yeah,
not too far from there.
yeah. She's pretty much right in the middle of Hatches and North Brisbane, so it's about something like that, half an hour. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
pretty.
okay.
Yeah, if it wasn't for her too, that's what something else that makes it easy. Is that we'd have to that yeah. That actually just reminded me. So the senior Aussies are at with Sundays, and they've been postponed.
Yeah,
I
I
saw a lot
actually
of
got the
people.
email. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, I saw a lot of people on Facebook sort of saying, "Oh, not enough notice, and it's ruined my plan." All of those sort of things, and yeah, that's the things that we go through, travel where we live to go to race meetings, and I was thinking about it. We're the minority, so North Queensland's the minority, and we travel to the majority to do those things. And when it's the other way around, I think they realise how hard it actually. And I hope that Aussies getting postponed doesn't sort of turn people off making the effort to come up.
Yeah, hopefully not. I was just trying to think why they said in the email. I can't remember what they said the reason was. I think because there was a lot of other events on or something. Can't remember. I'm
It,
not going to look it up now.
yeah,
But
it was the calendar's pretty full. I think an AFTN round was the week after.
no, that's July AFTN. Because it was the 1st of June, wasn't it?
No, I thought it was the end.
Oh, okay. Oh, if it was the end of June, yeah, then the AF. Oh, but it's still July 23rd, I think. Yeah, I'm not sure. I'd have to look into that. Um, but yeah, I think that's just a human condition. When you're when you're in your own sort of normal work routine and that, a lot of people don't like change, like instant change. The way I changed my lifestyle, it was one of the things that I actually struggled with. Because when you work for someone else, you got to. I was just talking to my daughter about this before. You got to be at work at 8 o'clock or 7 o'clock or 9 o'clock. You're going to finish at 3:30. When you're working for yourself, you have to adapt. Someone rings up and says, "Can you do this for me?" Yeah, no worries, but you were already doing something else. All these things
Yeah,
start piling up. You just have to adapt, and you get used to that. And I think it's. I actually like it now. At first, I was like, "How do I get my head around this?" But when people are just set in their ways, and things, they go, "Yeah, we're going to Queensland. It's a huge trip that we're going, and these are the dates," and then they go, "Well, actually, we've got to change the dates." I think it's just that initial shock, and oh shit, now we've got to change what we were already comfortable with. And once they get over it, give them a week, couple of weeks, get over it. I think it'll be fine. Hopefully, it won't affect your numbers. But
yeah,
yeah, I think humans just we're not good with change.
yeah,
Unless you're running your own business and you're a little bit outgoing and go and buy a bike in the States without planning the rest of your trip. At least you live like that. You're not good with change.
Yeah. You start at the end and then figure all the rest out. That's supposed to have come before it.
Yeah, I actually was at work last night, so I do a few jobs, as you know, and I was at work last night, and the technician came up to me and said, "Oh, thinking about cycling the Colorado Trail," and he doesn't cycle or anything, and on a mountain bike. Can you give me? I know you mountain bike. Can you give me some ideas about a good bike? And then I said, "Oh, no worries." So anyway, that just started making me think, "Oh, I wouldn't mind doing that." So I was looking into that, and it's like take about 4 weeks or something like that. It's 900 kilometers. It's a pretty big trip. And then I was thinking, oh well, I've already got a few ideas on the go that I'm pretty keen on doing if I sell my van and stuff. So what about doing something like that, but here at home? So now I'm looking for a weekend to ride from Ballarat to Bendigo, which is a couple hundred k's. So I think
Yeah.
I think that will be doable, but it's just I don't know. That's what I mean. Now I don't think twice. I just want to do it. I just got to find a weekend there that's free.
Yeah. Yeah. Sounds good. Let me know when you do that.
Yeah, yeah, no, it'd be good. It's we did Willow and I did the Ballarat Marathon. We only did the 10Ks, which I know for runners that's nothing, but we're not runners, and it was only my third time of running more than 10Ks. It was only her second time, and we both reached our goals, which was awesome. But it also made me realise that okay, I know if I trained, I'd get a higher result and I'd get a better outcome, and it wouldn't have hurt so much. It's actually amazing what you can do pretty much on the spur of the moment, or without that much training.
Yeah.
Just a bit of determination to finish.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
But yeah, no, it's awesome. So we might have to well, next time you drive the 30 hours down this way, you might as well whack on an extra 2 and come over here and I'll teach you how to ride a motorbike.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I'll do that. Yeah. I've been too scared to do it in front of anyone because I think everyone expects that I can.
Yeah, we're pretty private around here. We'll only have 6 cameras filming you.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I was just actually thinking, has Steph got any plans of getting back onto a quad, or because quads are they quite big up in Queensland? A few of them come
Oh,
down for the Aussies and that.
yeah, they used to be in North Queensland. This is 15 years ago or more when she last raced, but there used to be a lot, like a couple of grids of them, and up North Queensland now there's none. I'm not sure.
Right.
There's some accidents happened a while ago, and yeah, I think everyone just sort of packed them up and lost interest. But there's a lot of them in Brisbane. I noticed that their club days, and yeah, there's a lot. I'm not sure
Yeah,
about
right.
down your way, but
No, there's a few poking their head out, but I think they're not getting the numbers, so they're not getting the class. But yeah, I think if a few more rocked up, they might. I think they only need 6 or something. But yeah, I don't know. It's something that I've had to go on a sort of toy one, not a race one, and it was a bit of fun, but rolling on me or something has always scared me. The size of them has always scared me a bit. I prefer the
yeah,
2 wheels where I can sort of push it away from me. But you've got a chance of getting away from it a bit. But I don't know. There's no real safe motorcycling, is there?
no, no. I actually though I think that Steph she'd probably give a bike a go, I reckon, but
Oh yeah.
she doesn't have time. She's yeah, you cannot even imagine the amount of hours. If anyone who you know is an official or a race lad, it's full on. I don't even ride until she's sort of tired from that job.
Yeah, right.
I think she
And how
definitely
did she?
is.
I don't know if you said before, but how did she actually get involved in that? Was her? How did she get involved in racing? That was with her dad. Did you say? Did he used to do a bit of racing?
Yeah. Well, she's one of 3 girls, and I don't know. Her daddy passed away had an accident when
Oh,
they were
okay.
younger. But yeah, that was just something that she shared with him, I guess, and that's probably why George is doing it now. Had an interest in it. We took it to the track on a peewee and going around and around and around. Before you know it, you've got a faster bike. Goes from there. Yeah, it's addictive. It's actually, yeah. If even for me, I don't ride, but it's addictive. So fun.
So you enjoy the setting up the pits, working on the bikes, all that sort of stuff. And that side of the atmosphere, and George enjoys the riding and racing and that sort of thing, I guess.
Yeah. I do. Yeah, I enjoy it. Yeah, yeah. Even actually, this is another thing that you'll probably find a bit crazy too. But George doesn't wash his bikes. I do, and it's not because he's lazy. It's just because he rides them. Like, he's not entitled or spoiled or whatever.
Yeah.
He helps out when he has to help out, but yeah, that's actually how we run things. So he helps a little bit, but I prep him and get him there and wash him, and he's almost like a professional rider. But he's got other things to do. He's always, like I said, how busy he is. But
Yeah.
yeah, I think
Music
that
and
would
all that.
probably be the opposite to most families. I think people would probably disagree with that.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I hear the story quite a bit, like throughout the clubhouse and that when we have get-togethers and stuff. That yeah, most of the kids don't wash their bikes.
Oh,
The
good. Okay,
dads,
that's not too bad.
dad's left to it, or mum. Yeah, yeah. No, I think it's
Yeah,
pretty common actually,
you
especially in
end up
that
doing it
age
yourself.
group. Yeah, actually, Willow actually used to wash her bike really well. Sky was a bit, who's our middle daughter, she's a bit half-assed, and I'd end up going over it again. But they always tried to show interest or tried to show that, and I think it was only because they didn't want me to be a hard ass and say, "Well, you're not riding if you don't wash your bike." So,
Oh,
but
yeah,
the way they washed it and the way I washed it is quite different.
yeah.
Yeah, so once he turns 10, because I'm not really good on the junior side because I don't have any juniors racing in our family and stuff. But what's he stays on the 85 for a while, and then what's the next step up? What is it? 13, isn't it? He can go on to a 250.
Yeah, so 7 to under 9s is 50s and 65s. 9 to under 13s is 65 and 85s. And then when you're 12, I'm pretty sure it's 12, you can ride a 125, and 13 is a 250. So he's got a long time on a 65 and 85. And it's another thing what I was so surprised is when he was 9 and he's parked the 50 up and got onto this 85 in this class and he could win the local races, like, it was pretty impressive to me.
Yeah, well,
I feel like by the time he's
he would have gone from automatic to clutch as well, wouldn't he? So
yeah, well, he was racing the 65 as well, so he sort of had the handle of it. It's just an 85 is a different. It's actually a real bike, I reckon. It's a lot more bike for a little kid to handle, and you jump in these classes and you're 9 and there's some 12, 13 year olds as well. Like, it's a period of a kid's life where they're growing up, so there's a huge gap between the youngest ones and the oldest ones in that class.
it's a good point. Yeah, it is. Yeah, and they do scream. I mean, yeah, I think we've had times on 85s and that, or even 65s, but more 85s that are close, if not quicker, than some of the more novice classes in the seniors. So we down here, and we seem to be one of the only clubs that do it. We've got an A, B, and C grade in the senior classes. So C grade
Right.
tends to be newer people to the sport. And, they still do 32-second laps, that sort of thing. And the 85s are usually exceeding that. The ones that have been on an 85 for a bit or come onto it and they're just fast straight away. Which is bloody quick, for something with basically 300 and something cc's less.
Yeah, that's
Yeah, it's
right.
pretty
Yeah,
impressive.
you got only 25 kilo rider hanging off the back of it, so it's not have to work too hard.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, it might not go quite as fast with me on it. Yeah.
Yeah. Speaking of classes, so at home, at Air, the riders wanted a 19s class. And a lot of these guys have actually gone out and bought so they've sold their 250s and bought another 450, and they come to racing now with a 19s bike and a
Yeah, right.
21 18. And it lasted a little while, but the last club day we had only one 19s bike turned up, and I don't know
Oh,
whether
that's
anyone
a
was
shame.
busy or what, but I'm not sure if any other clubs are doing that. But Air was trying to make a 19s class and sort of get that off the ground.
Yeah, that'd be great if they can keep that up. Yeah, there are a few other clubs that are doing that. Yeah, like Griffith, they had a 19s class. There is some objection to it from the dirt track diehards, but yeah, I think if they're getting the numbers, why not? Yeah, it's fantastic that they do. Of course, if you look in the rule book, you can actually ride with the mixed class anyway. But I know a lot of people, especially the guys that are like we talked about earlier, that aren't so they've jumped on it and they're trying to figure it out, and that they're not comfortable going out against the setup that they normally race on, because they know they're slower, and it does put mental stress on a rider. I think I've gone through it
Yeah,
myself. Some of our riders took a bit to adjust to it and knew they weren't as fast or felt they weren't as fast or just not as confident. Um, so yeah, I think it is good to have a 19s class. If you can get it across in your club, it's a great thing. It's just going to help it grow. But yeah, look, it's a case by case sort of scenario, I think. Um,
yeah.
I wonder if there wasn't as many because some of them had travelled down for the Aussies.
Maybe. Yeah, I'm not really sure. I don't know
Because what
what
that would
happened.
have been the weekend before, so they might have been, financially just saving some money. Maybe that's why they didn't go. Because I think
Probably. Yeah.
Queensland has actually dominated the Aussie track titles, so I imagine they would have been down there.
Yeah. True. Yeah.
Yeah, it could be the answer. But yeah, it's actually funny you talk about the 19-inch separate class, and I'm sort of thinking with the Victorian side of things that I can't decide whether to become a promoter and just promote a series or actually start a 19-inch focus club. It's so that we actually, because what I think a bit of the problem is so some of the attractions to racing on 19s is the actual format, because the formats, if you do like the AFTN format, is quite different than Aussie dirt track. So no drop gates, you get qualifying, you get practice, you get qualifying, and then you get the longer races. So that attracts a lot of people. A lot of people are enjoying, and a lot of riders are enjoying the, 10, 15 lap races. When you have it mixed in with a dirt track meeting or normal club meeting, most of them are just doing dirt track rules. So it's still a 4 lap sprint race or maybe 6 laps. A lot of them will do 6 lap, but it's still drop gates. Does it bother people? To be honest, I don't know. But I think, if you've got a standalone flat track club and you run into the sort of more flat track rules, yeah, maybe that would be a bit more appealing, and you get the numbers, and then people aren't having to juggle bikes and all that sort of stuff too. It's a tough one because you get told a lot of things from people. Yeah, we want to come, and we've seen it with other types of bike sliders, for example, and then the class gets put on and no one rocks up and stuff. Yeah, I don't know. Well, it's just time's going to tell, I think, and just got to keep promoting and pushing it. Everyone knows my reasons why I like 19s, and I'll keep pushing it. And yeah, we'll make something happen in Victoria, and yeah, probably include um, uh, a 65 class or a 50 class as well. So those guys can go and do a dirt track day and then come and do a flat track day on the same bike. I think that's probably pretty important. Get them some more
Oh yeah.
laps. Yeah.
Well,
But
if it's anything like home, you need the junior classes because that's where all the volunteers come from. It's all the parents of the juniors. They, they run the clubs.
yeah,
But
no, you're right. You're right. And oh god, I got the yawns there. Yeah, yeah, but what you're saying about is Steph your wife, isn't it?
yeah,
yeah, all the hours. We've actually got to do a podcast on talking to some of the volunteers within clubs because people that don't put their hands up just don't. And I'm one of them. I'm naive to how much work goes on. I've done a little bit of behind the scenes stuff and had a nosy, and so I do know that they do a lot, but I haven't actually taken on a full role myself. Um, but yeah, I think it's underestimated how much they actually put in to make these days happen for the riders to go racing. And yeah, it needs to be discussed a bit more. Hopefully, people will appreciate it a bit more. Um, because yeah, there'd be no racing. Georgie boy wouldn't be going racing. Darcy boy wouldn't be going racing.
Yeah, yeah, that's gonna stick.
I like it. Yeah. Yeah. Oh well, mate. I better let you go. Lads, you can see I'm yawning. I'm the one piking out, not you. You're going strong, but
Yeah,
yeah,
no worries.
we'll have to catch up. Thanks for supporting Clava as well. Or originally Kelpie, now Clava. Oh, did you get your hat?
Yep, yeah, my hat's arrived. It's I
Yes.
can't bring it. I can't take it everywhere because it's white. It gets dirty real easy. I'm trying to keep it clean.
Okay. Oh, that's nice. Yeah, and yeah, well, that stuff we've talked about, I'll get that to you, and hopefully you can show some of the Americans off and get some talking happening over there as well.
Yeah, no worries.
Uh,
Yeah, definitely.
yeah, that'd be awesome. And yeah, I would like to come over actually for the AmNats, but um, I don't want to do it as a spectator.
Oh, yeah.
And as you've talked about on this podcast, it starts getting complicated pretty quickly. So and expensive. So yeah, it won't be this year, unfortunately. But with
Yeah.
that Colorado trip, Sturgis, and all that sort of stuff, I was sort of thinking, oh, maybe I could tie that in and I could probably be a spectator for the AFT because I know I'm past my use by date for that sort of competition anyway. So I could go and
Oh,
spectate
yeah.
at that.
You never know. The people that you get talking to, someone would just lend you their bike. I reckon you find the right person. You do it for someone that can. If somebody rocked up from America and was looking for a ride, I'm sure you'd help them out. Probably
For
just
sure,
book
yeah,
some
they
flights and yeah.
just take my bike. Yeah. I'm gonna sell my van. If I sell my van in the week, in a week I'm there. All right. So you
Yeah,
heard that.
right.
You heard that here. If someone buy my van and I'll go to America.
Yeah, okay.
That should cover it, I think. What a airfares, a couple grand or something.
Yeah, a couple of $1,000, I think, each,
Yeah.
maybe. Yeah, there's something like that. I don't know the exact figure.
You must have an accountant and just say, fix me up. Is that what happens?
No, I just do all this stuff and then Steph sorts out the bill. Then she tells me when to stop.
Has she told you to stop yet?
Yeah, yeah, she has. Yeah, so
Yeah.
that's
I love it. I'll have a, yeah, I might talk to you before you go, but have an awesome time over there. And yeah, stay safe and yeah, look forward to seeing some videos and stuff of your experience and we'll try and get you on if you and George are ever in the same place for more than 5 minutes, we'll try to get you on together.
yeah, no worries. Yeah, it sounds good. Yeah, thanks for the chat. I'll keep you
Yeah.
updated. There we go, and yeah, I'm sure we'll be talking.
Yeah. Oh, fantastic, mate. Well, thanks a lot. As always, keep it sideways. Until next time, go flat tracker.
Catch you later.
Go flat tracker. Go flat tracker. Go, go, go.